Well, Fox Bet Sportsbook has the latest MVP odds. And look at that. Nikola Jokic, the new favorite, at plus 100, followed by the King, Joel Embiid, Giannis, and then there's Harden. We got our MVP, Chris Broussard, back with us now. All right, Broussard, let's talk about this from the MVP angle. How will LeBron's injury impact the MVP race?
Jenna, I'm baffled by those odds from Fox Bets. I mean, those are strange to me. I see it completely differently. But look, since media have been voting for the MVP award since 1981, no player has missed more than 13% of the games and won the award. That was Allen Iverson in 01, I believe, was the year he won it. And he was so far ahead of everybody else, he was able to win it playing 71 of 82 games. If LeBron is out the next 3 weeks, which is obviously a very optimistic goal, but if he's out the next 3 weeks, that'll be about 11 games he would have missed, and he's already missed one. That's 12. That's almost 17% of the season. So it is going to be very tough for him to win it if he only misses 3 weeks. If he misses 4, Nick mentioned earlier he thinks he'll be out a month. If it's a month or more, he's definitely out of it. I think the only chance he'd have even missing 3 weeks would be if the Lakers completely fell out, almost lost every game without him, fell to the 8th seed or lower, and then he comes back and he leads them to a top 4 seed. You know, it would have to be something like that to happen. So LeBron is pretty much out of it, although this is a strange year because Embiid's hurt, so he's going to miss some games. He was the leader. Other leaders, teams aren't, in the top 3 or 4 seeds. So it's an odd year, but right now, my favorite would be James Harden at this point. I think he has to be the favorite now. And rounding out my top 5, not in an order necessarily, but I put Jokic in the top 5. Chris Paul now, has to be in there. Damian Lillard has got to start getting some love. Damian Lillard has got to – he has a chance because they're the 6th seed, but if they could move to a 3 or 4 seed, the way he's playing, he has a legitimate chance. And then, Nick, Giannis. I mean, Giannis, the numbers obviously are there. They're starting to win games, and he is starting to close. Now, we'll see if he can keep it up. But he's actually been closing out some games, making plays rather than just rolling to the basket or getting putbacks and stuff. So I think Giannis now moves into the top 5.
So who's your favorite right now?
I would go with Harden
right now. Who's your favorite right now?
Brandon.
Look, if they quickly answer Brandon, people are falling out. That's the thing. I hear you on Giannis, but he's not completely out of it. That's all I'm saying.
Go ahead, Wilds.
Okay, Brandon has a lot of side jobs, right? He's got this job. He's got, he owns the House of Athlete. He also has the podcast. What he is not is a DJ because he's not good at remixing songs. So the take that he gave was supposed to be you can't make the club in the tub, and he tried to put up a remix of you can't win the MVP in the tub. It didn't work. That remix bricked. That remix, that was like, oh, you're the remix from P. Marsh? No, not good.
You listen too close. Nick, you listen to me too closely.
I think there's a simple answer to this. I know we like to have debates, but isn't it just PER? And doesn't it? I know it hurts the sports talk industry. We're like, hey, let's just look at PR. Look at Nick. Giannis won back-to-back, led the league in PER. Harden, won MVP, led the league in PR. Russ, won MVP, led the league in PR. Yeah. Steph, what do you do? Won MVP, led the league in PR.
Yeah, but
Jokic
that's misleading.
is leading the league in PER. It is what it is.
Yeah.
This is the last 6
that's
years.
Misleading.
It just makes sense, and I know it's not misleading at all. It's straightforward. Go, Nick.
It is. You can show it again. What all of those guys have in common, though, aside from Russ, is their teams also led the NBA in wins. They were the best player on the best team. All of those teams, guys, won the most games, except for Russ. Russ, what he did was he won a scoring title and averaged a triple-double. There's a lot to unpack here, though. First, let me go to Brandon and then to Broussard. Brandon, remind me real quick, and I apologize for putting you on the spot like this. Preseason, what was your NBA Finals prediction before the year started? What was it?
Clippers, Nets. Clippers, Nets. Nets winning in 6.
Okay, so before the Nets had James Harden, you had them winning the title. And now you are saying he's the MVP because without them he couldn't have won the title. I got to do the math on that one. I got to figure that one out.
Hold on. Time out. Let me answer that. Let me answer that. Yes, that's preseason. Then we got into the season, and it didn't look pretty. It didn't look pretty until we got there. It was just up and down. It was rough.
That's right. That's fair. And Kyrie stepped away, and KD got hurt, so that's all fair. Here's the other point.
Right.
This is going to be, Broussard, a precedent-breaking MVP season. Because all the top contenders, there is no precedent for it. So LeBron and Embiid, who I think if the season stopped today, they're the top 2 guys because they haven't missed enough time for them to be knocked out of it. It's that we say they're going to miss more time. LeBron and Embiid will have missed too much time. Jokic, let's even say the Nuggets win more games than they currently have. In the last 25 years, we have only had one MVP come from a bad defensive team. One. A bad defensive player on a bad defensive team. Steve Nash. You can be like, oh, what about Steph? Those teams were top 5 defense. When Harden won his MVP, they were top 5 defense. When Russ won his MVP, top 5 defense. All of them top 10 defense for Russ. That Jokic would be the worst defensive player on a bad defensive team to win the award other than Nash. Then go down the list. Because I would have those as your top 3. Then I would have Dame, who has to be included in this conversation. You mentioned it. And then you have to start including Luka. You've got to start including Giannis. You've got to start including Kawhi. And then you can have James Harden. All of those guys would be precedent breaking. We've never had a guy win MVP playing for 2 teams in 1 year. It's never happened. Usually because guys get traded because they're not an MVP, or the only MVPs who get traded, it's because they actively quit on their team and we hold it against them. So no matter what, Broussard, this MVP race is going to be an unprecedented one in NBA history, right? Like no matter what.
I do agree with you, Nick. And it could be a guy from a 5th seeded team. It could be a Dame or a Jokic or a Giannis getting it again. It really could happen. I mean, what if Harden goes down or misses some games, starts sitting out? Like, this is an odd year for MVP. No doubt about it.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.